The left is moving in lockstep in their sleazy effort to obliterate not only the Supreme Court confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh, but the man himself. We've seen Soros-funded activists confronting senators in elevators to stall Kavanaugh's confirmation, choreographed impromptu press conferences and rallies, Hollywood stars staging their tedious walkouts to urge the Senate to vote against Kavanaugh. And now academia has engaged, so watch out. A provost distinguished professor at Georgetown University, her name is Carol Christine Fair, and she's acting everything but fair, tweeted this last weekend, "Look at this chorus of entitled white men justifying a serial rapist's arrogated entitlement. All of them deserve miserable deaths while feminists laugh as they take their last gasps. Bonus, we castrate their corpses and feed them to swine? Yes." So no longer content to indoctrinate our children, academic liberals like Fair are now advocating violence against conservatives. When she was exposed by Campus Reform, Professor Fair accused them of bullying her. Now, she's a damsel in distress. I thought they could take care of themselves. In a blog post, she insisted, "My choice of words is intended to make you uncomfortable because I and tens of millions of women in this country are uncomfortable with the ongoing war on our bodies, our lives, and our fundamental freedoms." So help me out here. Men should have their genitals mutilated, then fed to animals to give her control over her body? She's going to have to tell me how that'll work. Now, what's shocking, though, is that Georgetown is standing by this left-wing nutbag. Are these the Jesuit Catholic values the university is so proud of? Well, they claim her comments were private and not the views of Georgetown. But this is a woman who on social media has called Trump supporters magats, get it, and Trump pansies. Can you imagine if a conservative academic, if there are any, referred to Democratic politician supporters as simians or anyone, for that matter, as a monkey? Someone owes Roseanne an apology. This dean, check it out, is a true lefty hater.
Trump, and I won't use the preface, president, what Trump has done largely under the influence of Israel has done everything it can to sabotage this Iran agreement.
We had to blur out some of those stickers on her laptop. She can't even keep those clean. And I'm sure Trump is losing sleep over the fact that she's not calling him President Trump. All right, but just as a comparison, at Catholic University, also in D.C., Dean Will Rainford had the nerve to question Christine Ford's credibility on Twitter. He wrote, "Swetnick is 55 years old. Kavanaugh is 52 years old. Since when do senior girls hang out with freshman boys? If it happened when Kavanaugh was a senior, Swetnick was an adult drinking with and by her admission having sex with underage boys. In another universe, he would be the victim and she the perp." Well, for that completely kind of fact-based opinion, Dean Rainford was suspended by Catholic U for the semester and forced to write an apology. And he didn't even threaten anybody's life, okay? By the way, a suspension, though, wasn't good enough. Yesterday, angry protesters stormed the university demanding that the dean resign. Liberals have infested every corner of universities, from the classroom to the administration building. We know that by now. And emboldened, they operate according to their own resistance rulebook. At least 20 Yale University professors shut down classes. It was last week, I guess, so that law students could protest Kavanaugh's hearings both in D.C. and on campus. Students wore black and staged sit-ins. Oh, how original. Undergrads later marched across campus to express their outrage. Now, remember, Kavanaugh is a Yale alum, so this is particularly pathetic.
She was very emotional during her opening statement, And to be confronted with, the first thing that Senator Grassley said was he feels equally for Brett Kavanaugh, her alleged perpetrator, as he feels for Dr. Ford, who has received death threats.
And she feels like unable to be safe even in her own home and really wants there to be an extra way for people to exit. I find that to be really striking. This happened to her decades ago, and she's still feeling the real effects of it today.
$75,000 a year for tuition at Yale University. Oh, my. And at Harvard University, yesterday, Associate Dean Catherine Claypool announced that Brett Kavanaugh will no longer be teaching a course that he's taught in the past at the school. Claypool claims that Kavanaugh, quote, can no longer commit to his course on the Supreme Court. Well, no wonder. This is the university that last year, months after Trump's election, hosted a resistance school featuring leftist activists and agitators.
The origin of the resistance school lies in the election on November 8th of 2016 of the 45th president of the United States.
Like so many of you, my friends and I woke up on November 9th just devastated.
Schools are places for intellectual exchange, for social transformation, and yes, when necessary, for political resistance.
$80,000 a year, what is it at Harvard? Well, true to form, students and alumni have been urging Harvard Law School to rescind Kavanaugh's teaching appointment since the Christine Ford allegations leaked. Hundreds of Harvard graduates signed a petition demanding that Harvard cut ties with Kavanaugh. In other words, the mob got their way. For Yale and Harvard, and even Dean Unfair, who we talked about earlier, what happened to this principle of innocent until proven guilty? I thought the liberals really believed in that. That's totally out the window. Given the shaky state of these accusations against Kavanaugh and the daily erosion of the credibility of the accusers, why are law schools, of all places, rushing to judgment against their own alumnus without any substantiating evidence or witnesses? It's amazing. If they really wanted to teach their law students an important lesson, it might be this. Put your political prejudice aside. Exercise a bit of restraint and withhold judgment until all the evidence and the facts are in. Oh, and justice should still be blind, not political. And that's the angle.